Salutations and welcome to the Manabar Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Handy Rhodes, and I'm joined here with Matt Samarco.
Did you call yourself Handy Rhodes?
A little bit. And Dan Party.
Heyo!
That's it.
Okay.
No more.
Hi, I'm here.
I'm back.
No more with the Pikachu.
Yep.
We're done.
Done with
He
Pikachu.
died.
I had a couple of people tell me they really liked it and they wanted more, and then another couple of people, including kind of passive-aggressively Matt.
Yes, I was surprised how much you were taking all these other people's input, which is the correct thing to do, but how
Well,
little you cared about mine and Dan's input on this.
Well, you two, neither of you two ever actually gave me input, so...
No, we just kind of groaned. So it's kind of a universal, oh, okay, he's going to do this.
Had anybody actually said, hey,
I mean,
it's a tired joke?
It's just, he's here. So
I mean, he's here every episode either way.
That is true.
I won't be doing the little sound effect. I actually did have a couple of people say, like, we love it. And then another couple of people say we hate it. You guys just said nothing. So if you say nothing, I'm not going to assume.
we figured we'd let it run its course, you know.
Oh, I was going to keep going if nobody said anything.
Okay, all right. Well,
Dan, you healed nicely.
I did. That soda machine just came out of nowhere and just, exploded. I did have a Pepsi, though, so it was good.
I mean, vending machines do kill a lot of people. That's always the statistics they use, that it's like more people get killed by vending machines than sharks, so you're not supposed to be afraid of sharks, but it just makes me more afraid of vending machines.
I don't actually think that's the correct stat.
I'm
feel
pretty
like
sure that is.
feel like
pretty
that
sure it's
is-
like
I've
car
heard that like a dozen
accidents.
times.
I feel like that's
or-
kind of believable. I mean, God, there's people rocking it and it comes down and tips you over.
I just picked the
For God's sakes, Dan
stupidest
almost
thing.
died.
I
last
know.
week.
I mean, hello. You got a statistic right in front of you.
I just picked the dumbest thing that you could possibly die from and kind of ran with it.
Yeah, it happened. Thanks.
I suppose I could have gone with, like, he opened the Pepsi and it was, like, full of acid. It sprayed into his eye. I could have gone with that
God.
one.
Thanks.
I mean, a Pepsi machine exploded. It wasn't any, like, more or less gruesome.
Yeah, I think you planted. You planted.
Is that your thing? If I miss an episode, am I going to get murdered?
We'll find out.
That would be
God
funny.
dang it.
Every time we miss an episode, we get murdered.
Or
You
die
just-
in some
you're
gruesome, horrible
Putting
way.
a lot of strain on my creative skills is what you're doing.
It was good. It was good. I laughed when I listened.
So before we get going here, something takes priority because I'm very warm in this hoodie. So I got a couple of presents the other day, and one of them correlates directly to the two of you. Dan's shaking his head as if he knows what I'm talking about.
No. I'm not shaking like I know.
Just
I'm
a reminder for the
intrigued.
audience that Andy doesn't tell us a lot of things.
Yeah, he
before we
really
start
doesn't.
This podcast, so we are
He
always
keeps it
as
fresh.
confused as you.
I mean, it's only been with a couple things. The Jeopardy was fun.
That was fun.
All right.
It wasn't fun for me
So my girlfriend,
because I lost so badly. Your girlfriend, go ahead.
by a lot.
I thank you.
So my girlfriend, for my birthday, got me 3 video game items. One of which is not delivered yet. It's a Squirtle pop figure that I really wanted.
Ooh.
Another is what I'm pulling out right now.
Oh God. Oh God. Ew. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't that.
For the listeners, I'm holding up a sign that's red and white, and it says, "Keep calm and settle it in Smash."
That's very nice. I
So
like
I thought
that.
that was very cute. And then the third gift was very sentimental. It was a T-shirt, but it's what's on the T-shirt that's important.
Is it what I think it is? Is it what I think it is? Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, nice.
That is very cool. It is a. If you want to explain what it is.
It is a green T-shirt with the logo for A Link Between Zeldas on the front. But what's on the back?
Hey,
man, that's our logo.
That's awesome.
We're famous on a T-shirt.
Do you want me to autograph it?
She made one.
Yeah, we could autograph it.
Yeah,
No.
that's awesome.
I don't want you.
I think we should
I
autograph.
don't want you ruining my shirt.
It could be the.
It'll wash out
I
anyway.
put in 31 good years to get this T-shirt. I'm not letting you ruin it. with your
That is actually pretty
assumingly
awesome.
poor
Unless you wear it all the time,
She
I'm
did a
going to
great
sign
job.
that shirt.
Did she make that or did she order it?
Well, she went online and gave them the
The logos and stuff?
logos.
No, they did
Well,
a great
you remember
job.
how she was complaining that our logo, the bottle, was off-centered?
Oh,
That's why she was complaining about that.
smart thing. she's sneaky. That's cool. I love it. It looks great.
I was completely surprised. I was not expecting it, but yeah, I like,
That's an awesome shirt.
the whole shirt is green. It has a link between Zeldas with the Triforce that I made.
What's
for
the link
logo.
between Zelda? No, I'm just kidding.
It's that other podcast that I sometimes do and sometimes don't, depending on the week. Another thing I want to do before we get going is ask Dan a couple of questions based on what Matt and I discussed last week. I'm not quizzing you on the podcast. I know you only listen.
Oh,
to like
yes,
half
yes,
of it.
yes, yes.
But last week we talked about Matt and I talked about Game of the Year so far, as well as our favorite stories in video games, and I just didn't know if you wanted to say a little bit about that. I'm assuming was Days Gone your Game of the Year so far?
No, it is
Evil.
up there. It has to, just from the sheer fact that it was a remake, but it gave me a completely different feel from the remake. Like, it felt like its own entity. But I love the fact that, and then on top of that, like the score, like the soundtrack of it was unique, and then you could go back and play it with the old school music as well. So it kind of it hit a lot of strides for me. It was just, like I said, it was an excellent third-person shooter. It was an excellent horror game that was fun to scare the crap out of my wife.
Was that was your pick as well, Matt? Right?
What game? Days Gone?
No, Resident Evil 7.
Resident
Evil 2 remake.
Yeah, the remake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said 7.
It shines through and through. Like, it is a fantastic horror game. It's a fantastic shooter. It has a lot of the free stuff that they added. It's very, very challenging, but yet still rewarding and fun. Did you complete that, Matt?
Yeah.
Damn, Jesus, that's tough.
Which one?
The one where you run through with like Hunk?
Yes, yeah, I did that.
That is tough. Whew. I feel like I've gotten most of it down, but I get in one hallway, I always get screwed up and I waste a lot of ammo, and then
it's brutal. You kind of have to run it perfectly.
Yeah, I can get through like half of it without firing a bullet.
Yeah, after you beat it, you unlock doing like basically the same thing, but with that giant piece of literal just tofu.
Oh, see, I at that point
just a knife. It actually was not as, because I think
you did that too.
No, I didn't finish.
Oh,
it.
I was going to say,
I only tried
Jesus.
it once, and I got like 3/4 of the way there though, because you
don't have anything else, no grenades, no nothing.
I forget what you have. I think you have like a ton of knives, so you can like, stun them and stuff. But once you get good enough to do it as Hunk, you kind of know all the routines of all the characters, so it does get easier.
Well,
the problem, kind of learn it.
Well, the thing with Hunk too is like he's like small, so I feel like that's the tough thing with Tofu is just a big square. Like, so I can't tell where they're gonna touch me. And, the hitboxes are
very invisible.
Yeah, but that survival mode was really challenging. You can't like take your time and like sit there and shoot enemies. You need to. At one point, you walk into like a parking lot and there's like 15 zombies. There's like 3 zombies I look at and I shoot them in the knee and hope that they go down. At that point, I run through.
Yeah, it's one of those like high blood pressure moments where like, oh my god, I've gotten through 10 minutes of this. I have to get through 2 more minutes, but it's so much worse than the other 15 minutes.
And then it's like, when do I use that magnum bullet?
I forgot already what I picked. I think I might have picked a Plague's Tale.
So story would go to Plague's Tale.
I just think overall, well, I didn't play Resident Evil 2 Remake. I actually made a list of all the games I want to play that came out this year before the year ends, and Resident Evil 2 Remake is on it. But so far from the games I've played this year, it's just, the story is just that great. I mean, Last of Us was my favorite game the year that came out, too. Yeah.
Now, how far have you gotten in Plague Tale?
I'm on chapter 3 or 4.
Oh, so you still got a ways to go. Good.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's a really good game so far.
What
about your favorite story in a video game?
I mean, this is unfortunately going to go more to nostalgia, but I loved Metal Gear Solid 1. Just the...
I had a feeling it was going to be Metal
Gear. But it's one of those games that it throws you for a loop. And I would actually have to put it very close to Metal Gear Solid 2 story, not the game, the story. Just because I loved the trickery and the two-faced one person actually being a bad guy when he thought they were a good guy, and I just love that. I don't know why I'm blanking out at the word, but espionage, I guess. Tactical espionage action, as Kojima calls it. It's always Metal Gear Solid tactical espionage action, like on the cover of like all his like Metal Gear games. It's kind of goofy. Anyway, but I just love the twists and turns in those games where like you're like, oh, this guy's my friend, and it's like, oh crap. And then like Metal Gear Solid 4, there was a lot of that like twists and turns, and that was one of those games that kind of revealed a lot. I don't want to spoil that obviously for yourself, Andy, who has not played that.
I mean, it'll go with the theme of the week. Everyone's been spoiling everything for me this week.
I'm not going to spoil Plague Tale. I'm not going to spoil anything.
Two separate entities spoiled season 3 of Stranger Things for me.
Oh
Sorry to hear
no!
that.
because they don't know what to do. Like Yahoo's running headlines with like spoilers right in the headline, and then my friends on Facebook think 1 month is enough time.
We should come up with an app that blocks like whatever.
It's 1 year, people. 1 year is the amount of time you wait before any major spoilers.
Well, I remember God of War, the new God of War. One of the final bosses was spoiled because I was scrolling through and I saw it said like final boss, and the thumbnail was that, and I was like, oh, like there should be a block, to block out like something like that on YouTube or any of those like social media things. I know Twitter
Just
is
gotta go off the grid.
like Twitter is like a cesspool
I mean,
of that.
I used to be off the grid. It was fun for the year and a half that I was off the grid, but I can't be off the grid anymore. So here I am getting spoiled on things. But yeah, no, I appreciate not spoiling Metal Gear 4 because I do want to play that someday.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those games that it tries to tie in everything towards the end. So, and it was honestly for the end of a I shouldn't say the end, for the last game of a series, because obviously Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain came out after.
Chronologically,
It was one of the finest ending to a series I've ever played. I mean, I sat
Yeah,
down.
that submarine fight was pretty sweet.
That was, and then
But that's all just like nostalgia almost. Because
Yes.
like if you didn't play the other ones, it would not.
yeah, you'd
mean
have been
as
like,
much.
what the fuck is going on? No, I was blown away.
A lot of those games are just kind of built around I feel like the voice acting and the characters themselves. Because you know when the first one came out, you didn't have voice acting in a lot of games like RPGs and stuff. Were the games that had all the best stories, and then action games would have these small stories and maybe a little bit of voice acting. But this kind of had the voice acting in like an action game, but also the story that you would find in like an RPG. So it's kind of this crazy new, and then you find more games like that. But
the PS1 era is definitely when voice acting came into play in video games, because I remember Resident Evil 1 was one of the early ones to have voice acting in it too, not to mention that really bad live action cutscene at the beginning.
Chris, don't go! Like, just for saying that, I'm going.
You almost became a Jill sandwich.
Oh my god.
well, did you know the story behind that? Those were Japanese voice actors that didn't know they didn't know like what they were saying.
Oh,
but they were so
seriously?
good at voice acting that they know how to, how to say the words. They just didn't know.
Oh, that's
Really?
amazing.
So they could never tell where to like hit certain words or anything like that. So that's why they sound like deadpan.
Well,
Oh.
I'm surprised at how good they sound then, because I know when anime comes overseas to here, when they dub it with an American inflection. So I'm surprised them dubbing over their own voice work, I assume, with an American inflection on that. That's like hard to do.
I can
I
can
mean-
imagine that's really tough.
That's how we got. all
that's
those
how we got
fun
that, yeah.
voice lines.
That's funny.
Moving on, a few hours ago, we got a new email from someone that the three of us actually don't know. Well, we don't know directly. Anyways,
Today is August 15th.
Matt wants everybody to know that today is August 15th,
I gotta start remembering to say that
2019.
at the beginning.
You have very few jobs, Matt.
I know, it's the one thing I've put on myself to do for this podcast, and I've done it once, I think.
Hey, Andy, Matt, and Dan. Just a little note. I'm the first name there. My name is Matt 2, as in also, not like the number 2. I've been listening to the podcast since about the second episode. I enjoy listening to you guys while I'm at work. I used to live in Boston, specifically Lynn, the city of sin, and currently living in Phoenix, Arizona. I am a really old friend of Andy's girlfriend, so she's a friend of my girlfriend. There's the connection, so it's
It's a person.
that's 2 degrees though. That's better. It's better than we've been getting. There's only been 1 degree with the other 2 emails we got.
Fine, anyone that wants to email us.
Anybody who wants to
I
email
love
us.
all sort of interaction with people.
I'm a really old friend of Andy's girlfriend. She had sent me a suggestion to your Facebook page, and that's how I discovered you. I was listening to episode 16 when you were talking about Fallout 4. I got excited too when I realized that Diamond City is Fenway. I realized it when I was on the elevator going to the mayor's office and turned around to look at the whole city. For me, I was excited to be able to see my hometown through a game in a way, and was wondering how it felt for you guys when you played it since you live there. Signed, Matt Walden, Phoenix, Arizona.
Thank you, Matt.
So
You're welcome, Matt, Dan.
I guess
Thank you for Matt
Speaking on behalf
for
of
speaking.
Matt.
through
Matt's
Matt.
everywhere. So from my perspective, I guess it was a little different for me because I only moved to Eastern Mass when I was 22. Prior to that, I grew up in Western Mass. I'd never really delved into the Boston area. So I'd only been here for a few years when the game came out. But even though, I still had been to Fenway. The lake that my work is on, both Dan and I work, Contituate Lake. That's in the game. To actually see those landmarks on, in a place that you can physically go to, but in a game is like really really cool. Diamond City especially, I think, was probably the most intense moment because you walk in and you realize like, oh wow, they turned Fenway Park into a city. That's so cool. And Dan, I know you didn't. You weren't here last week, but I went to a baseball game and it kind of inspired me to go back and play a little more Fallout 4 that I haven't played in a long time, and that's kind of where this whole email came from.
Oh, very nice.
So it probably meant a little more to you.
Oh, it meant a ton to me because
Boston.
being a huge Red Sox fan and being, knowing that I've gone to Fenway tons of times, and sat, everywhere in that park, it was just really neat going like, holy crap, I've been in the dugout, so when when you go in the dugout, and then there's like, this whole place behind it, that's actually pretty close to what it is. It has like the locker room and it has, the like separate area for like the managers and the meetings and conference areas. So it actually kind of looks like that, which I thought was really, really cool.
Is the mayor's office like the radio booth?
In that general area, sort of. Those up where the mayor's offices is mostly like those like railing seats, or the luxury boxes.
Yeah.
He's the radio people are kind of right behind home plate all the way up. There's like the 406 Club that's right behind home plate. It's all like encased in like glass, and then a few to the left and right are a lot of the media places. So like the sports talk radio, there's like the Spanish sports talk radio, and anybody with a press pass typically goes there.
As someone who probably knows more about the park than either Matt or I barely know anything about the park. How good of a job do you think they did replicating it?
They did a fantastic job, especially making it feel like how it would actually be.
Yeah.
I feel like if something were to happen and they needed to use Fenway Park as a safe haven for the city, I feel like that's how they would use it. They would use the Green Monster as the, a big, tall defensive wall.
Yeah. And there were other things in the game, like, the Freedom Trail and some of the other landmarks, but,
there's the Old North Church. And
I don't think it's exactly the layout of Boston. Like, that would be...
Well, yeah, you can take like 6 steps and go to a different town. I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, I'm in Concord. I'm in Lexington. Wow, that was quick.
Yeah.
No, it's really,
Diamond
really
City's
cool.
definitely the centerpiece.
Yes. Oh, that when you first walk in there and you see the kind of the gates open, and like I think you talked about it last week about the guy with that's like, oh, I need more paint, and then you go out and get.
That's one of my favorite side missions.
That was kind of neat. Just like, oh, he needs this for the Green Monster. Like, holy crap.
Fortunately, there were other paints that I grabbed, and it wouldn't let me drop the paints because it kept saying it was a quest item, even though I already mixed the paint.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to Bethesda games.
Did you get to that point in Fallout 4, Matt?
No, I never got more than like 2 or 3 hours in. I liked the idea of it being in Boston, but I never really saw much of it. Like I didn't see the Fenway Park or Concord or anything like that.
Fenway's definitely the centerpiece, and some of the other things in Boston, like the outskirts, are just kind of.
Yeah, they try and hit. I feel like they tried to hit big landmarks for each town. Like Concord had, didn't they have the water tank?
Sure.
I think they had They had like the big water tank in Concord. Lexington. They had.
That'd be funny if they had that giant Citgo sign that's so popular.
I think you can see it from Fenway Park. I just don't know if it's actually like accessible. The Citgo one?
Does it actually say Citgo in Fallout?
No, God, no. They could never use that. It would be like Chitco or, I don't know, some weird thing. But like each town, like Salem had some sort of witch museum.
The witch museum.
Which kind of was spooky because they had like a, oh God, what's those like monsters, those huge monsters with claws. Deathclaw. There we go. I just said half the name. They had like a Deathclaw in there that was like desperately trying to murder you, except it was a great cheat where it was too tall to go through a door. So you could literally just kind of walk through a door and he would just stand there and you just shoot them or like throw stuff at him. But it was really really neat to see each kind of town had like, oh, I know this part from from driving through here, or I mostly grew up in like southern Mass, Norwood, Mass area, so that kind of just got missed by, because I think the lowest it goes is like pretty much like Natick.
Yeah, the best I got in Western Mass
Framingham.
was once a month there'd be like a flock of pigeons flying by. That was about the most exciting thing over there.
Yeah, unfortunately,
And the biggie.
Western Mass is not.
Yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time actually in Boston when I was growing up. Like, I just kind of grew up in a suburb outside of Boston, so I didn't really spend a lot of time there. So it's not really like, oh man, I know all these different landmarks and everything. But it is kind of interesting that it's so close by, and every once in a while there'll be a game like this, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But
Yeah.
It was neat that they
they're
picked.
never going to do my suburban town for a game, unfortunately. That'd be kind of cool.
You could just do it yourself, become a developer.
That's true. I mean, there's always
true.
Pokemon Go. I can walk around and
true.
kind of see like.
See,
some
there
of
you
the
go.
landmarks
Everyone's
and
town
stuff,
is in
so.
Moving on. What have you guys been playing? Dan, for you, it's been 2 weeks, so
Oh,
you're gonna have to
Jesus.
try to condense it for us.
So I did unfortunately
Oh God, here's the game. What game is it that you've been playing that we're gonna make fun of you about?
got hooked on the MLB The Show.
I said that.
I
I
know,
said that.
I know, I
You
tried.
said I was wrong.
I know.
All right, just for everybody listening, before the show, Dan said, I've been playing a game and you're going to make fun of me about it. I go, is it baseball? And he goes, no. But he said it like very well. Like he actually like made me believe like, oh, it's not. All right, I have no idea what it is. Maybe it's that
There's a reason I do okay at poker.
stupid Harry Potter game or something like that.
No.
So
So
was MLB The Show? When did this come out? Is this the new one?
Yeah, it's been out for a little while, but because the Red Sox have been doing so terrible, I'm like, I don't want them to do terrible in my game. So
Now,
I bought it, and I'm doing good
which
on the
one
multiplayer.
Did you get? Is this,
I got the newest one, but it was at cheap.
did you get the one last year too?
Yes,
Okay.
but I bought it cheap, pre-owned.
I'm gonna try to find the clip from the podcast where you complain, I only get it every other year. Kind of pop it in there.
Anyway, but I feel
That's
really.
kind of what you sound like too.
I know, thank you so much. But I'm actually doing surprisingly really, really, really well on the multiplayer, especially when the multiplayer is extremely unfair for new people. It's essentially pay to win. At one point,
Jesus, is it like that kind of like your team thing where you have to get cards or?
yes. So it literally, but I don't spend a nickel. But you can use real money to go out and purchase. So they have it ranked 0 through 99. Obviously, 99 is like the best type of players. And my second game, I played a guy who had all diamonds, and they were all cards that you purchase, like off the thing, and they're thousands and thousands. Like one of them, the cards that he had was worth like 100-something thousand credits. That I have not
What does
earned
that
that.
mean in human terms?
Let's just say this.
It's like a Bitcoin ratio
Yeah.
thing.
Well, they have like in-game credits, but let's just say every game that you play gets you maybe 100 or 200 credits, and these are thousands. So the idea is to buy packs, and then you sell basically the cards on a marketplace. Each card, or certain cards, you can do stuff because you can get challenges. Like if you complete one collection of one team, you get bonuses, and that's how they make you want
I
to.
don't know how sports fans put up with this nonsense. I would be so livid every year.
Well,
Yeah, I guess the sports games have some of the worst microtransactions in gaming.
Yeah,
right
They
now.
do.
for sure.
You
That's
would
where they
have
make
to
all their money.
You would have to play a ton of hours. But that's the funny thing is, I'm still beating these people that have all diamond players with a bunch of gold players and mediocre players. So
What's
it
wrong
felt
with gold? Gold is worth a lot more than diamonds.
well, yeah. But it was like I said. I'm surprised. I'm 12-3 online.
Nice.
And so they have like a ranking system, kind of like what's it called? Apex has like a season. They have a season. The higher you go in the season, the better packs that you get. Like this one's guaranteed a rare. This one's guaranteed a gold player. This one guaranteed a gold player and something else. And so right now I'm flying up and 12-3. So
Nice.
beat somebody in the bottom of the 10th the other day. That was friggin' awesome. so I'm playing.
Yay!
Yeah, I know you wouldn't
So
care
I mean,
about
is it
that.
like the same as the last one, or have they made any noticeable improvements that you would?
Definitely better better like camera angles. Like it doesn't usually when the ball was like hit, there would be like a lot of lag, and on top of that, there was a weird feeling like when there was an error, it didn't feel like once the player made an error, because it's all stat based. So if the player is mediocre and he gets a line drive at him, there's a chance, as long as you get in front of it, there's a chance, like there's a 60, 30, 20, 50, whatever % chance that he'll drop it. And you have to, obviously pick up the ball again and throw it to the right base. So there's the other game. It would be if the guy made an error, like that was it. There was no chance, no way to fix it. That's it. It was just a random error. So I like the fact that you can now fix your own, like if he makes an error, you can still make the play. So unfortunately with the last one, it was just all like, oh great, my player botched it and there's nothing I can do.
I've been like paying attention and I still got lost with all of that.
Oh, well, anyway,
I'm always just afraid once they get this far into like a console cycle, they're just kind of updating the roster and then making the most minimal amount of effort they can to be like, here's our new version.
I mean, there is like the changes are small.
Have you gone back to the older ones and see if they
I've
continue to update them or anything?
I've played them and it plays a lot better. It just plays
No,
better.
I mean, have they updated the old games or do they just cut
they're
it
done.
off at
They're
the
done.
knees as soon as the new one comes out?
As soon as the new one is announced, they stop updating it.
Yeah.
So I mean, because you can't bring in your new diamond players, you can't bring those into the
you
next
can.
version.
You actually can.
Okay, I was gonna say
Yes.
that'd be a bummer.
Now,
if you bought all these.
unfortunately,
It's like Pokemon, you have to get the link cable and everything like that.
unfortunately, the Diamond, they call it Diamond Dynasty. That's the one where you start out with a random bunch of packs. Usually they're mediocre to crappy players. And that's when you start out winning and getting challenges and getting gold players and whatever. That does not transfer over. But they do have something called, what is it called? Road to the Show. That's when you create a player and you play him through like the life of like a career baseball player. So he starts out in double A, and then the better you do, you get promoted, and then eventually you get promoted to the big leagues. I know the NFL did that as well, but that transfers over. Like I have one guy that's like 10 years in the majors, and he's making like 30 million a year, even though.
Okay, but if you bought a bunch of like diamond cards last game, you wouldn't be able to use those in the new one. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of a bummer. Like,
but that is
garbage.
I get it. It's just they need to find a new way to monetize the game.
Or just don't.
Because it's $60.
Yeah, it's a $60 game.
Well, you can.
Are they really doing enough updates to the game throughout
that's
the year
why that is one of the reasons I would not give them $60.
Well, no,
for
yeah.
the game
Are they
too.
doing enough updates to warrant the monetization of the game?
I would say yes. Only
So I feel like if they're
because-
going to pop one of these out every single year for $60,
not for $60, but again, I bought it used, and I was
no, but they are selling it new for $60 still, right?
No, I bought it new for $40. It was on sale. But again, this is also the life cycle of baseball. They're halfway through the season. It's about half price. Almost.
I can understand the microtransactions if maybe they're only coming out with one like every few years and they like continue to update it or give you free updates every year, but they're not. So I don't really think they should be able to monetize it at all, especially that egregiously.
Yeah, that would stress me out if I bought a bunch of players, then like, oh, the next version, no one's playing this anymore.
But the only thing I can understand, but it needs to be done in a different way, is that's only the Diamond Dynasty mode has those unlockables. Like if you want to play just like the regular Red Sox, like play online, just Red Sox versus Yankees or whatever, you could do that if you want. That's fine. That's free. It's just the Diamond Dynasty mode is meant so that you start out from scratch and build the best team that you can. At that point, it would be kind of unfair if you like Call of Duty every year. Like you just went to the next Call of Duty. Oh, I have all the attachments. Like, oh, I have all this. They want to make it challenging, but the problem is there's a huge advantage, like I said, pay to win, where I don't pay any extra money for the packs to try and unlock these players. I don't buy them off the market with my own money. I usually, when I get a gold player, I immediately put them on the market, get whatever.
Do you ever feel like other people are, though?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, the second guy I played online, I can tell because every card is, you have to pretty much purchase it to get it. There was no way, because they're called signature series. They're basically the player when they were at their best.
Throwing too many terms at me.
So basically, it just take like the stats of like Tom Brady at his
Makes me
best.
glad I don't play sports games.
What else have you been playing?
Yeah, what else have you been playing? I'm tired of talking about
Okay.
baseball. I was already at my limit last week. I'm even
Get
more
your
so now.
sound thing ready. I beat Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Holy crap.
I know. See that? Look at that. I beat Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Congratulations.
It was good. It wasn't great. And just as Matt said,
More about the journey.
yeah, it's more about collecting loot. And I kind of just got the best. Thank you. speaking of Zelda, I'm working on Zelda, and I just found the how do we say it? Deku tree or Deku tree? This is always a big fight.
I've always said
Deku.
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 Usually.
Deku. Okay. Well, I found the Deku tree.
It's probably pronounced Deku.
But it was really exciting to know that
Knowing how if it is spelt the same way in Japan, it would be Deco.
Oh, but anyway, I played that again, and I found the Deku tree, and I didn't know the little Rourke guys, or what do they call them?
This the first
Korok
game.
guys. I didn't know that they were from that. So I thought
Wind
that was
Waker
really
was the first appearance of the Rudos
And the bird,
Korok.
right?
Those are the Rudos.
Yes,
and
that
the
was really cool.
Koroks. That was their first implementation into the Zelda universe. Was in that game.
Yep. So I just got the leaf from him, but the Deku tree brought a lot of nostalgic feelings back. I was like, oh my god! Like every Zelda game that when I fell in love with Zelda from and the Ocarina of Time one had like the Deku tree in it. So I thought this one was it was animated very, very well. And I just started the he's like, oh, someone bad is in the forest. Go save the Korok that got lost in the forest.
Yeah, and you get the did you get the leaf?
The leaf,
yet?
yes.
Yeah,
that was fun. It was kind of it reminded me of Majora's Mask, where you go on the leaf and you jump up and then So I thought that was really cool. It was done better though, much better than Majora's Mask. The little jump things, but so I've been playing that. I pushed through Assassin's Creed Odyssey, got that done. I'm trying to think. I think I got a little inspired by one of the shirts you wore the other day. You wore a really cool Metroid. Yes, I was just like, that looks really cool.
Metroid.
And I completely forgot that there was a sort of recent Samus game, or Metroid.
Samus Returns?
Yes, for the 3DS, so I bought that.
I think that's a remake of Metroid 2.
So I just kind of got excited. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to go get the Samus Returns and play that for my 3DS. And I found my charger and everything, so I have it all hooked up. And that's probably one of the next ones I'm going to jump into. But
every once in a while I want to play the Metroid Prime games over and over again.
It's hard with one joystick.
Really?
In this day and age.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
I don't think I even played the third one. I played the first two and really liked them.
I feel like that's why I'm waiting for them to come up with a trilogy for the Switch, because not only that,
update the controls maybe.
Polygonic games on the new TVs just looks horrible. So using my Wii to blow up a GameCube screen on my TV just looks so horrendous.
But I mean, they've been talking about. There's been rumors about that Metroid Prime trilogy for 3 years now. Does anyone know it actually exists?
Getting towards the end of the year, that could easily be just like hey, coming out.
Yeah, but I think it was the editor-in-chief of Game Informer, and I don't know how much weight his word holds, but he said back in December, they already have it done, or it's coming out any time now. And that was over half a year ago. So
well, maybe they're waiting. They want it. The what's it called? Link. What's the Zelda game that's coming
Link's
out?
Awakening.
Yeah, they want Link's Awakening.
I don't know. I just felt like with the Metroid Prime 4 getting pushed back, that this would kind of be a palate cleanser in the meantime. Hey,
but here's
I've been
the
wondering
Prime
if
trilogy.
they've been holding off on a lot of things, like maybe the new Zelda game will come out next year, to combat the new systems coming out and be like, all right, we have to bring our A game to
So you think they're just
compete.
going to hammer it next holiday season?
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. Maybe we'll have the new Zelda, and they'll have maybe this Metroid Prime trilogy, Metroid Prime 4 maybe. Or
they do
Metroid
have
Prime 4
Pokemon
maybe.
coming out this holiday season. That's a pretty huge deal.
And maybe that has something to do with it. The fact that Metroid Prime, maybe they want to have it come out 6 to 9 months before Metroid Prime 4 to get everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure if
up.
it's made, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, at that point, that's why I'm wondering if it's already made. They want money for it.
Well,
so-
also the guy could be wrong. He's
he
the
could
only
be
one
wrong.
who's come out and said that.
I'm just surprised Nintendo hasn't been like, yeah, we're working on it. It's probably going to
Yeah,
come out
they haven't
next
even
year. Or,
announced it.
We're working on it, but we don't know when it's going to come out. We haven't even heard
They
much from
announced
them.
the Breath of the Wild 2 sequel, and they haven't announced this Metroid Prime trilogy. I'm beginning to think it's just a fairy tale.
Well, do you think that one of those? I feel like it's a thing that companies are starting to do more, and I like it, is when they drop hey, it's coming out in a month, or hey, it's coming out.
I'm so sick of
So
waiting
that's
for games.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Nintendo has perfected that with the directs, so I'm not going to be surprised if suddenly in December there's a direct and it features Metroid Prime trilogy. It's it's coming out in January.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So how
you go.
cool would that be, especially once you get the Pokemon and those purchased for the holiday and that, but then they say, hey, guess what? Yeah, come in December.
There's
hey,
a
guess
reason
what? January, it's coming out. So
there's a reason we all said that Nintendo won E3. They're very good at keeping certain things, not their systems, but certain other things under wraps, and just kind of no one was expecting the Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, no one knew about this random Switch that quietly just went into stores. I was gonna say I was talking to you the other day.
We talked about it like 2 months ago on the podcast.
Well,
nobody knew that it got released.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It was like in stores
just
and
snuck in there.
That's
why I think they're working on something else. I don't think that's the pro quote unquote model they were talking about.
No, it's got to be. It can't be. I think it was one of those to fix the bending issue that
what
a lot
bending
of
issue is people talk. I've never
I'm
had
noticing-
I heard about it the first 2 or 3 weeks. Like the first month that the system came out, I heard about it.
Mine's bent a little bit. I can tell it's from the heat, and I guess the metal or something that's inside it's more flexible. So
because I've left mine like in my car on a hot day before, and mine's perfectly fine.
Well, I guess it's more to do with the dock. The dock
I've
is
heard it's like
so that
it can bend slowly, but
so
I haven't had an issue with mine.
Mine is, and I mostly play mine in dock mode. Is
same here.
Yeah, so mine.
That's why I'm surprised
I can
mine's
tell
fine.
it's a little bit bent. So I mean,
if mine was straight up like bending, I would totally. We'll get into it a little bit later, but I would totally do that deal that you were talking about GameStop. But mine's perfectly fine right now.
well, my idea was if I can, like I said, if I can find another cheap one that works.
Well, we'll get into that in a
trade
minute.
Yeah.
Anything else you're playing besides Metroid?
No, I haven't played Metroid, but I'm gonna. That's the next one I kind of want to start. But no, I think that's it for now.
So just really Wind Waker and Assassin's Creed. That's really how you've been.
Well, and then the baseball is taken up, kind of like how you guys play the Apex a lot.
Oh, yeah.
The baseball and those games last a while.
No more Ultimate Alliance.
I mean, it's.
Oh yeah,
it's,
you weren't here. I didn't really like that game.
Yeah, I heard
talked about it. So
I
I
heard
don't know,
that.
I don't need to rehash it, but
you also did say that the nostalgia factor didn't hit for you.
yeah,
I think
don't
these
really care about
movies
Marvel,
really have
'cause
like.
it's never been a huge thing I've been into.
Yeah, so I feel like with these movies coming out, all these Marvel movies, is they kind of made me excited. You know, Deadpool, Spider-Man.
I just feel like it's too much. It's like it's the same thing with Star Wars. It's like oversaturation at this point.
It is, but for some reason, I love the little cutscenes that they had. I thought they did a pretty good job when all the.
I didn't even
Did you feel
try
it was too
I just
grindy?
wasn't interested.
Because that was
Yeah.
my biggest.
What
That
was
was my biggest hurdle to like just basically to the point where I stopped playing
Repetitive.
after a couple hours was not even that, just how grindy the characters are. Like it just feels like all the mobs were easy, but not still took too long to kill. Like even the bosses.
the random shield thing where it's like you can't
Yeah.
take their health down without the shield. I don't know why they did it that way. I would have rather them just had more health. But I guess it tries to make you change your tactics because I guess they want you to save that ability,
powerful
like
move.
those unite. What is it? They're like unite abilities where it's like, oh, Wolverine and Spider-Man are going to get together and they're going to do like a special.
Sounds like a fanfic I wrote in college.
Sort of.
What are you playing, Matt?
So I've been playing. I played some Crash Team Racing, which I've been having fun with. Definitely the best kart racing game I've ever played. I'm not too far into it. It's maybe some of that's just nostalgia speaking, but it
Yeah,
plays.
'cause you grew up on that game,
Yeah, it
right?
plays kind of just like how I remember. Actually, I feel like the problem with it is the things they added to it that I don't really like. So I don't know if you had a problem with this, but I felt like the hub world was kind of boring, and
I
it's
didn't
just like,
even really play too much of it before. I'm like, this just isn't very fun for me.
Yeah, so you start off and you've got to, you got to win the races, but then you can go back into the races and there's like a time trial and there's one where there's different icons that you have to find like a C, T, and R for Crash Team Racing in the map and then still win. But you kind of have to go around these worlds and just kind of, it's just stupid driving to other.
Kind of reminded me of like Diddy Kong Racing because they had a hub world in
Yeah,
there
it
too
just
that you would
seems
drive
like
around.
a waste. And then on top of that, I feel like the loading into the maps was
Long.
harsh. It
Yeah.
was like maybe almost a minute long for every load in for a map or even a load out, which was kind of rough. But the actual racing and playing the game was fantastic. Like it's so relieving to play a game that doesn't have like catch up in it, like Mario Kart, where it doesn't really matter how good you do because everyone's gonna stay with you, and even if you do really bad, you can catch up.
See, I think that was
This
my
one is,
problem.
Like harsh.
is-
It's like you better stay.
Yeah.
Good.
I like that.
the opponents
better.
were right there the entire time. It's like, why did I bother to do so well the
Yeah.
entire race if they're right?
It's like
Yeah,
it's
there.
like basketball only the last 2 minutes.
It's like the
Oh,
items
Blitz.
don't even
Oh
the
my
items don't
God.
even slow them down. They're still right there next to me.
Yeah.
Blitz that
You just get better items in the back, but I feel there's really none of that in Crash Team Racing, so it's really just you got to be good.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that frustrates me in RPGs is when it's like, oh, I'm getting stronger, and it's like everyone else around me is getting stronger
Yeah.
too. I feel like
That's why I fell off Skyrim, because I didn't feel strong, because everything just levels with you. It's like, why am I leveling up?
Oh, see, Skyrim I actually did because I just didn't see health bars or things like that. So, like, when you hit them, it's like, I don't, you kind of get that mystery of like, oh, I don't know how many hits this guy takes. So, and then later you get the friggin' bow and it's just like twang, dead,
Fallout,
twang,
it's
dead.
the exact opposite. Every time you do VATS, you see exactly how much health they have and exactly
in
how
Skyrim,
much
you
And
can-
bullets
that's
they're
one of
on.
the things I never played Fallout with VATS like a lot. I always
Skyrim,
just
you
played
can
it
see
like
the health, or did you put on like a different mode that didn't let you see health?
They
When I was
have
playing
health.
like the
talking
health
ab-
bars
Do they?
in Skyrim VR, I don't know if they did it differently. You can see all the.
You
health on
didn't
the
use the
enemies.
VATS in Fallout 4?
No, I don't like using it. I almost felt like it was cheating. So,
It's because the gunplay in the gum is so bad.
oh no, I just played it in third person. I hug a lot of walls, sit behind walls, and I tried to play it like a Gears of War, kind of like cover shooter.
Yeah, the gunplay, that's why I was so, like, against them coming out with Fallout 76 to begin with, because the gunplay in that game is so terrible, especially PvP.
Oh yeah, that was a dumb. What a waste of time that thing is.
No,
but-
I VATS the hell out of that game.
Oh yeah. No, I mean I did it every now and then, but it was like I just don't feel, like usually it was to blow by like enemies that I don't give a shit
Oh,
about.
well that I don't do it for. I'm talking about, like, hard enemies.
Oh, see, I don't know. I never used it that often. Especially in well, I did it in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas a lot because that one felt really clunky. Yeah, trying to hit someone was like not only that, I feel like Fallout 3 and New Vegas did more percentages. Like you could be on target, but it's like you had a 70% chance to hit it. And at that point you failed or whatever, even though you were on target. But
And you've been taking some other trips down memory lane with some of the other games. you've been
Yeah,
playing,
so
Matt,
I
too,
mean,
right?
I was playing Crash Team Racing and I was really loving it. And for some reason, I had this huge urge to, because probably we were talking about stories last week on the podcast. I wanted to play Legend of Dragoon again, so I picked that up, one of my PS1 favorites, and popped it in. It's this huge 4-disc game, and I just finished disc 1, so I'm like maybe a dozen hours into it. But it's just as fun as I remember. I haven't played it in like, I don't know, maybe 10 years at this point, 5-10 years. So it's been just enough time where I kind of forget most of it. And I'm trying to do, like, there's this big side quest where you have to find all these Stardust all through the world. So I'm kind of trying to do like more than I've ever done before by doing that. But I'm just kind of, I'm really enjoying it right now. I don't really know what else to say about it, except that it has this really fun story and the action is really interesting. So instead of, you don't really get your power from leveling up like you do in most RPGs. It's from it kind of has this action element to the fighting. So when you start off, you'll have maybe like an easier move that'll be just kind of one hit, and it'll come up on the screen, and you have to hit square when the circle gets inside of the circle, which sounds kind of derivative, but it's actually
engaging.
It's very it's a good word for it. It's
A Plague
engaging.
Tale does that same
Yeah,
thing
and
with you throwing the rocks, and the circle will get close, and you have to hit it at the right time.
Yeah, and it
Oh,
feels
yeah,
really
yeah.
nice when you do it, because if you don't do it, you hit them and you do a certain amount of damage. But if you hit them and you do it correctly, they'll do like an extra hit, and then they'll say the name of the move.
Spinning cave.
Yeah, so it's funny. It's like these old voice lines of like gust of wind dance, and they're saying these weird phrases, but they're saying them like, oh, I'm a badass or something. So the more you do of those, the stronger it gets. And then once you do it 80 times, you kind of have it at its max level. And then each character has between like 3 and 7 of these. And then if you get all of them to the max level, you unlock like an ultimate one that is even stronger than the other ones, and you can kind of level that one up. And
Sounds like a 90s RPG.
yeah, and most of your strength actually comes from that, because as I'm playing it, I didn't remember this from when I played it before, but you get very little experience from fights, so it's mostly but you get huge chunks of experience from bosses, so all the bosses will level you up like once or twice, so it's really kind of hard to over-level yourself or under-level yourself.
I feel like that's a good way to prevent grinding.
It does prevent grinding, but you do kind of want to spend some time grinding your additions if you want to get those ultimate ones.
Yeah.
They're definitely not necessary to beating the game. I don't think I've ever actually gotten them. That's another thing I'm going to try to do this time. Although there's so many games that are distracting me, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. But I'm just going to try to get all the ultimate additions for that.
See, that was kind of something I was hoping Pokemon was going to do, especially in this new game. Then I would have been interested. Is if they did something where like
Are you talking about new game
Pokemon Shield,
Sword and Shield?
Sword and Shield.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
if they did something almost like Legend of Dragoon or Final Fantasy VIII, where when you attack or when you're being attacked, if you could do a move, or, like you could dodge, or you could or when he attacks, if he comes with like a left like thunderbolt or something, if you shift to the right, it would just make it a little bit more engaging rather than attack.
Yeah.
Yay!
The difference with Pokemon is it has such a huge fan base that until their sales slip, they wouldn't change up something that drastically, and their sales
Just like sports games.
Yeah, there's the sales. I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know. I've never looked up the numbers on sports games on how the sales do, like if those are dipping or not. But Pokemon sales, if anything, get better over time. They've never just had a huge dip. So if there was like a huge dip in sales for this Pokemon game, that would be, probably a red flag for them to maybe change some stuff up. But
I just feel like change with the times. Like even Halo was like, all right, fuck, screw it. We're gonna add a run button, because I remember that was so frustrating with the first.
that was
three.
really the only thing they've added, though, because everything else they added over time they took away. Like they took away the armor abilities after they added those into the game. They went back to like Halo really hasn't changed all that much at all.
Oh, I feel like they have. I feel like they've added in one of the most recent ones. They added like a slide tackle, just typical like first person things that are much. They're definitely necessary.
What's a typical JRPG thing? Turn-based combat.
Yeah, but add something to it. Like a lot of like games, I feel like.
I'm just saying the fan base is still buying it, and if they're not asking them to change, I
want
agree.
more.
I just wanted a prettier game, graphically.
Just you don't want any combat changes at all? Just something a little bit. Would that be more engaging to like if you could dodge or just like Legend of Dragoon?
Turn-based
It's a
combat
simple-
was never my issue with the game. I had other issues with the game.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the thing that bothered me. The thing that bothered me was, it's on a Switch, but it still looks like a 3DS port. Their gimmick, they keep going with gimmicks each time, and this one's really dumb. Your Pokemon get really big, but wait, there's also an ability to make them even bigger than that. Like, it's just stupid. It's dumb. I think it's dumb, and the world looks pretty empty.
It does.
Okay.
It looks pretty barren.
Yeah, so in addition to all the additions in this Legend of Dragoon game, there's also you can like transform into Dragoons, which is kind of like your super power move. It's basically like they're Power Rangers, and they can morph up into these better versions of themselves. They all have like they're all color coded, like the main character.
Green and red. Yeah. He's that bandana.
Which is kind of funny, yeah. And you can use different. When you're a Dragoon, you have different moves, and then you have like spells and stuff like that too. But I'm also really enjoying how more complex the story is than I like even remember. There's different characters that are there's like a 10,000-year war that happened between humans and Winglies that gets kind of brought into the forefront, and then the game opens up with your main character's like town burning down and your parents dying, and you've been trying to avenge them for the last like 10 years, and then it just kind of goes from there, and then these like dragons start appearing out of nowhere from like history.
I just remember that, like, at the very beginning, that, like, green dragon that reminded me of, like, a grasshopper, like, chases you, like, through the,
Yeah.
through the, like...
A dragon chases you, and then your main character, and then one of the other characters that joins
Oh, the
team.
girl helps you,
Yeah,
right?
Rose.
Yes.
Rose helps you.
Right away, yeah. She, like, jumps through, and she's like, get down, and you, like, hide behind it like a bush.
Yeah.
So, I just remember the intro to that.
That's most of what I've been playing. There hasn't been much out yet. Besides that, I've started to get a little bit of a fever for World of Warcraft Classic, because some of my friends have been thinking about getting into it, and
You were very upset at my answer to whether or not I would play it with you.
It's a scary rabbit hole to go down, the World of Warcraft one, because I remember playing it in 2005, 2006, and doing Molten Core and doing all the raids and stuff, and it's a pretty big commitment. And I've been looking at different guilds, and like, they're pretty intense with their
If you
requirements.
want to do it, just do it.
Yeah, I might try, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time to just play one game that much. So I think you kind of have to do it like full time.
I mean, you could just get a month and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do.
I guarantee you, I don't have the time, and I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I'll probably end up doing
sorry.
it more casually and not doing a lot of.
Would that be a
but...
bit better buy-in for you if I did it too? So at least like you knew someone else in the household was playing it as well, and it wasn't just you.
No, I have some other friends that are gonna play it, so I'm kind of good either way. But
because Matt, for Dan's reference, Matt asked me, like, "Oh, are you getting Classic WoW?" And he was like really excited about it. I'm like, and he's just like, "Well, whatever, man, whatever. I'll go have fun."
Yeah,
Not just like that, but it was kind of that
It's such a
Aren't you-
time sink.
Aren't you guys worried that with all the updates that they've made, going back to the vanilla is just gonna? Because I've heard so many.
Well, I'm not getting it, so I'm not worried.
I thought you were gonna play it with him.
No, he wanted me to.
Oh, you're
Dan, I just explained this to you a second
All the
ago.
updates kind of over time slowly broke that game. I feel like they added these quality of life improvements, and then over time they kind of sucked away all the things that were great about that game, like the community, like having to talk into the channels and be like, hey, do you guys want to start a team? Or
Yeah, people have been begging for just a simpler classic WoW. A coworker of mine brought
no,
up the.
you just said something a few minutes ago about would you feel better if you play it?
like they kind of
Yeah, would you feel better? I was just asking him if you feel better if I
Sorry,
played.
that's what I mean. It wasn't helping that I was
one of my
looking at
coworkers
something on my
brought
phone.
Yeah, I know. So you're on a podcast, Dan.
I'm sorry, I was doing a little research
Andy
also
Byrne.
about Legend of Dragoon. Thank you.
Hyrulean Burn?
Just saying.
Trying to get some more information too while he was
On a
talking.
conversation we're done with. Good. So
dick.
here's the thing though. My coworker brought this up as something that might be an issue. What if this is successful and then they start adding in the older expansions to it, bring back Burning Crusade Classic and kind of add that into it?
I mean, they don't have any plans to do that right now. They've got it set in 6 phases, which is kind of interesting. It's going to start with basically the first launch of the game, but maybe they have a little, they've done some tweaks and updates, so it's not broken or anything like that. They've fixed some glitches and things like that. And then they haven't even give time frames for the other phases, but you can look them up online and it says, okay, the second phase we're going to unlock these 2 layers, and then the third phase we're going to unlock PvP battling and the ranking system.
Oh,
and
PvP is not going to be there from the get-go.
I'm not sure. They add something. Well, no, PvP is going to be there, but I don't think the kind of there's these arenas that you can do and you can rank up and stuff that's kind of separate, like a separate queue as opposed to just fighting people in the wild, that you might not be able to do until phase 3.
So that was always my issue with WoW is I was enjoying just going around and doing the questing, and then you'd go into a territory that was inhabited by both factions,
Yeah,
and you could just
that's-
die at any moment.
so,
and someone
I mean-
would guard your corpse and just sit there and just guard your corpse, waiting for you to come back so they could just kill you again.
Yeah, that's why I'm probably going to do a PvE server, which means
Jesus.
you can't be attacked unless you want to attack. Because I'm 32. I'm not at the age where I can get pissed off and throw my mic at 11-year-old that's sitting there ganking me all day, and I just want to play the game and have fun. I'm not really into PvP. I'm in it for raiding and leveling and adventuring across the world. And that's another thing, because I had played World of Warcraft with you very briefly a few years ago.
Yeah,
And
I played for a month.
So a bunch of our friends played it, and we didn't really have a good time and overall. And I feel like most of that was just because
I didn't have a good time playing with you. I actually played longer than you guys did.
Yeah,
you
you
guys
played
all
it
jumped
right.
off because I was doing the questing. I was enjoying doing that, but you guys wanted to keep raiding and leveling up that way, and I thought that was really boring.
Yeah, they had all these ways to make you. They had there were monsters in the world where you could go with a bunch of other people, and it was the fastest.
that was pretty egregious when there
Yeah,
was that
it was
giant
the-
monster, and it's everybody and their mom could go and attack them. And
Yeah,
just, you
that
could
was
just
the
sit
fastest
there.
way to level up. So I kind of felt like, oh, I have to do the most efficient thing, but none of it was fun. It was just a chore at that point. So it's so I'm hoping that's kind of what World of Warcraft Classic will bring. It'll be actually fun to level up your professions, and then maybe actually get ready for those first 2 raids, and it'll actually be people that want to play and it'll be difficult and challenging, and you'll have to communicate with other people, and so I guess we'll see how that works out. But
Yeah, and I never played WoW from the ground level, so it does interest me a little bit, but it's just not something I think I can. I don't have the time to put
yeah,
towards it.
it's quite the time sink. But if you're ever going to get into it, this is the perfect time where it's not the millions expansions. It's everyone's starting over
I think
from scratch.
the lowest I ever played was Burning Crusade. I think that's the first time I jumped in. But Burning Crusade didn't really add too much.
No, I mean, I fell off after the first couple expansions. I kept buying the next couple, but then I never really played them that much.
As for me, I haven't really played too much of a variety of games over the past week. I only played a little bit more of a Plague Tale after I talked about it last week, and I've been trying the Apex solo a bit here and there. It's
how's
fine.
that?
It's fine if you want to go in and get a lot of kills. If you want to, it's really just a good practice round because you don't have to worry about teammates coming to help your enemies. You can just shoot at whoever. It's kind of kind of makes me feel like playing free for all Halo, which is kind of nice, or I guess even free for all Titanfall, which was probably one of the game types. So that's that's fine. It's pretty. I've been playing less and less Apex. I've been trying.
Have you checked out the sorry, before we move on to something else, have you checked out the monetization? Because from what I've heard online, it's pretty like egregious what they're doing for this.
No, I
For
don't.
Apex?
Yeah.
I don't
Really?
really care about it enough. Like, I don't
Yeah,
pay
it's-
money, or I don't care about the unlockables as much. I just want to play and have fun.
Yeah,
So,
apparently there's like 24 loot boxes that you can get, and you can only earn 2 of them, and then the rest of them are $7 each, basically. And
Yeah.
then after you unlock all 24 by paying for them, you can then buy a new heirloom set for Bloodhound, but that's another like $35 or something like that.
Yeah,
So
it's
it seems
pretty
like a big
egregious.
cash grab.
Yeah. Like for me,
Yay.
I haven't even been paying attention to the challenges. I've just been having fun, and I've been trying to play less.
Which is kind of nice, because if you don't, at this point, like I was like, oh man, I want to make sure I have time to do all these challenges for this event, but now I'm like, it's not even worth doing, so now
No.
I'm just gonna play it for fun.
Yeah, just go in, play a few rounds, have fun, move on to something
Just
else.
not even care about getting everything.
Most of my gaming time over the past week has actually been on Fallout 4, a game that I have already beaten and platinumed. I don't need to play this game, but going to Fenway, and then it wasn't going to Fenway that made me want to play. It was talking to my friends at Fenway about the game that made me like want to jump back in. This is it's a second playthrough that I started maybe 5 or 6 months ago. So I jumped back into that one. I was doing some of my favorite side quests on that, like there's this one side quest, Dan, you know all about it, but Matt never got that far. It's the Silver Shroud, where there was like this old detective show on, and this guy's trying to like
Silver Shroud.
yeah, this guy's trying to like bring it back on the radio. So you have to like go get the costume from the TV set, and then you have to like wear it and go take down some people and like leave your calling card as the Silver Shroud after you kill the people. It's just one of my favorite side quests from the game. So I was just enjoying reliving that game. It's it's a game I sunk a lot of hours into, and I remember why it's definitely they really definitely need a new engine for their next games, because it's definitely, you can definitely see the wear and tear. I think Fallout 4 was probably the last game that got away with it, and it wasn't too bad. But Fallout 76, like,
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about when I played through Skyrim VR. I enjoyed it, but I was like, I fell off eventually, and it was the first time where I was like, I'm actually looking forward to the next Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna try it. And I'm like, if they fix half a dozen things, that could be amazing for me. And I know all other people thought Skyrim was amazing, but there was so many things that I just felt.
it was also from 2011.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
at the time, I mean,
Yeah, I
when
didn't
you're
really play it
walking
when it
around
came
and
out
fly, like, you see a dragon, it was like, oh my god, now people create random encounters.
Yeah, Fallout 4 came out at the end of 2015, I believe, and I think that was even stretching it for how the game looked.
Oh god, I just remember like when you first go down into the vault and that lady hands you the vault suit, and I was
yeah.
like, ooh, you are ugly. And
There
then
were
you
certain people where
Oh.
they just didn't look.
the old lady.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there was so
Yeah.
many mods to fix her.
The rest of the game, like the items in the game and the scenery, is pretty okay. It's not bad. I mean, it's supposed to look gritty.
It's pretty ugly. It has a really bad color palette. to
Oh,
it.
well, that's what I thought about Fallout 3. The color palette was like one
I mean,
color.
the color palette is still.
I didn't mind the color palette. I'm just saying, like, graphically compared to the people, the atmosphere is
Oh yeah,
better.
it's.
I mean, it's a nuclear
it's subpar, but it's not bad.
post-apocalyptic place.
No,
It's not going to have like a ton of color. But no, like
No.
for 2015, it was stretching it. Is what I
Oh,
was
yeah,
saying.
it was-
So now, like, if they're coming out, they're working on the next Skyrim and that other supposedly other space game.
Oh yeah, it's
so,
supposed to come out earlier. The space one's supposed to come out first.
Yeah,
so.
so I'm really hoping they're finally using a different engine, maybe updated everything on those games. But yeah, I've been really enjoying getting back into Fallout 4. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I say that, but
I know. I guess
then
I'm
I'm
getting
going
so
back
frustrated
in.
because there's so many games I want to play again, and then there's so many new games coming out. It's
Yeah.
like this spoil of riches where I don't have enough time to play all these things that I want to play.
I'm just concentrating on just enjoying my time. That's why I didn't play a ton of new things last week, except for A Plague's Tale, and I was really enjoying playing A Plague's
Yeah.
Tale. But I just had that itch. I'm like, I really want to play Fallout 4. I know I have a bunch of games on my list. I have my list here. I actually finally made the list of every game that I need to beat and every game that I'm buying
By
and
the end of the year?
renting. That no, not by the end of the year, just in general. And
Days Gone on there?
let's find out.
I was
Sports
gonna say, if Days Gone
fans
on there, you gotta push
live.
through because that game is long.
Long one.
Good, but long. Even the main campaign is long.
Yeah, and I just I know Fallout 4 I've already beaten, but it was just one of those
Yeah, it's
things
fun.
where
It's one of those easy games, especially now with mods too. When you go back and did you add any mods?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the lock picking one. I just automatically unlock.
Yeah, when you
them
already
and
beat it,
stuff
it's like
that.
I'm gonna pick this. I'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't know where I might it might be on my computer, the list of games that I'm playing through.
The Xbox One version has so many mods that you can do. It's crazy, and it's a lot of
You
fun.
can do mods on the console versions?
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
Yep. On the Xbox One, they allow even more mods because you have access to certain like files. So like at one point, I walked around as like the ranger from Fallout New Vegas. Somebody did the NCR New California Republic like outfit, the one that's like on the cover. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Here it is. So there's 7 games from PAX that still haven't come out yet. That
there's
I'm
a
just
game-
waiting to come out. All of them are like TBD.
There's a PAX game that's actually coming out August 15th today.
Which one?
Iron Fury. The one that
Oh.
used to be called Iron Maiden before they got sued by the band
Ooh, I'll
Iron
have to
Maiden.
write
So
that.
now it's Iron Fury.
Iron Fury. I'll
Which,
write that down to
which
check
I'm actually
out.
excited to play.
Then purchasing outright, there's 6 games. Gamefly, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 on. Playing now, I have 3, and that's not including Fallout 4, because that doesn't count. I've already beaten that. Need to play. So these are games that are either A, already out, and I just have to borrow from one of you, or B, I already own them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Jesus.
Detroit, Red Dead 2, Doom, RE2 Remake, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War. I don't know if I'm going to finish that or not. It depends on if I can get
God
back
of
into
War?
it. Octopath Traveler, Final Fantasy X Remake, Metal Gear series in general. So that's like alone like 5 games.
Oh, Jesus.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Final Fantasy IX, No Man's Sky, Heavy Rain's a maybe.
Oh, you are gonna play No Man's Sky.
I was gonna
I'll
say-
play that with you.
I have it. You made me get it.
I did.
Life is Strange, which I found out I had for free on my PS4 from a while ago, and I didn't
I've
know.
heard good things about it.
And Dishonored, which I had for free on my PS4 from a long time ago.
I was
and
gonna say you
didn't
should like
know.
order those by how long they take to beat, but most of those games look like 50-hour games.
Well,
Yeah,
if you
I don't
wanna
want to.
do-
I don't want to.
If you
want
want to do the 2018, you might want to put those ahead. Like, or I'm sorry, not 2018, 2019, like Game of the Year, putting those ahead. So anything that came out like this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which
Not only that,
the only
that-
game on there is the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know what you're getting the Zelda game, but I'm looking at what's
Games I'm game flying so far that are just on the list. That Justin Roiland game, is it Tever or Trevor saves?
Trevor.
Trevor saves the internet or saves the world or something.
Universe?
Dead Cells and Hollow Knight, which have been out for a while. This game called Control that is coming out this month. That looks really interesting. Borderlands 3, Luigi's Mansion, Star Wars, Doom Eternal, and Watch Dogs. And then games I'm purchasing, half of which come out this year, are Link's Awakening, Outer Worlds, and Death Stranding.
Yeah, I got a problem.
a lot.
Is it weird that there is so many amazingly good story-based games that are coming out over the next 6 months, and the one that I keep thinking about is Animal Crossing?
Yeah, it's a little.
I don't know why. I'm just like, I started playing, that's another game I started playing, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Just because, I don't know, there's something about that game that, like, I'm playing, like, 50 different story-based, really hardcore games. I just need that, like, Picross in my life. I need that Animal
What's
Crossing
a simple
in my life.
game? You don't. There's a lot of games that I put
Palate
down.
cleansing game.
Well, it's
you
just
know?
there's a lot of games that I feel like you have to like mentally like, all right, hang on, what's going on in the story?
Well, that's why I'm excited for Link's Awakening. It looks like just like a nice palate cleansing.
yeah. But
Simple
there's a
game.
lot to it. Like even Wind Waker, when I put it down and picked it back up, I was like, what the hell? Where am I supposed to go?
Just ask the boat. He'll tell you.
Well, yeah, but I completely forgot about who gives directions or whatever. And then I figured it out. I was like, oh, okay, let me try and go down here. So I found the Deku tree. But yeah, I'm in trouble too because I got within a week and a half of each other, I have 4 games coming out. Gears of War 5, Greedfall, which I'm very excited for. That's one of those under the radar RPGs. It's called Greedfall. Greedfall, yes. It is like an open world game that looks like it takes place in like the like early like 1900s or something.
So I'm gonna have to look into that and Iron Fury.
Borderlands, obviously, I'm super duper excited for
Well,
that.
that's not coming out. Oh God, that's right around
month.
the corner, isn't it?
It's a month.
Jesus Christ.
Yep, all within, and then Link's Awakening is a week after that. So on that day or on that week,
You're probably not playing that right away, though.
no, I will. I will grab the.
So,
specials
anyways,
right away.
I'm excited for this weekend because I'm going to Maine for the weekend. So I'm gonna bring Minish Cap as well as my Switch with me, and on the Switch I'm gonna be concentrating on Cadence of Hyrule.
Oh, nice.
So
That one got some rave reviews.
yeah, I mean I played it
Yeah.
already. Like I just need to play more and beat it. But wow, we just spent a long time talking about. We haven't even gotten to any news topics. That's just about like talking about like bullshitting with like video games and what we've been playing. That's pretty funny. Moving on. I didn't have a lot of exposure to this story other than Matt, when you and I were driving one time, you were listening to was it Yang Yi?
Yeah.
Yang?
I don't know how to spell it.
Young,
That,
yeah.
that
Young,
YouTube
yeah.
guy.
Yeah, Young, yeah.
He was talking about this. Those like private investigators visited a YouTuber
Yeah.
who leaked some Borderlands 3 stuff. I guess it was a 10-month investigation into Sup Mato or Sup Matto. Another Matt.
Yep.
So do you
We're
claim,
all over the place.
Do you claim responsibility for?
I do not. I don't
his
claim
actions?
responsible for anything he did. Please don't.
That's just a
investigate
very
me.
bizarre story. But like, if you're in that game, like the whole like leaking things game, you got to know that there's probably going to be some repercussions to doing things. I don't know where he got his information from, or if he hacked into
that's
them
the
or
problem.
something.
Like, first, like it. There's a difference between getting insider information and just releasing it, and there's really not much they should be able to do about that. And then if he did something illegal or nefarious or broke
Yeah.
into something or did something wrong, but that's information that's still up in the air. I guess we don't know. He would probably claim that he didn't do anything wrong, and I know
his camp tried to coin the hashtag boycott Borderlands 3.
Yeah, I know they've been saying that there's more to the story that we don't know about, so it's like I don't want to prejudge anything, but I almost feel like no matter what he did, you shouldn't be hiring, as a big corporate entity, you shouldn't be hiring a private investigators to go to his house. I mean, if he's really doing something illegal...
I mean, you can hire private
file a
investigators
police
to do
report.
anything. He doesn't have to comply with them. They're not the law.
True, but don't you think hiring,
I mean,
filing a police report would be
the-
a more professional thing to do?
Well, yeah, it makes the company look like a thug.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying, like, anybody can do that for anything. I can hire a private investigator to follow you guys around if I wanted to, and maybe I have. You
Is
don't
that
know.
why there's a
Okay.
guy with a top hat and a overcoat walking around following?
Top hat? What is it, Mr. Peanut?
Yeah. You know who you hired.
I mean, I don't like things getting leaked anyways. I try to stay away from that stuff. We talked about that a little briefly earlier about
Yeah,
Stranger
once I'm
Things
sold on
3.
a game, I don't want to hear anything about it.
Yeah,
I
like,
don't
I
want to
don't-
watch videos. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play it. I
Yeah,
don't wanna-
and Borderlands 3, I guess that one doesn't really matter too much because I feel like I already know what I'm expecting from the game. I'm not
Yeah.
sure really what he leaked. Was it a trailer or
So
something?
I guess what he did is, from what I saw, is I think Gearbox released some sort of gameplay or screenshot or something, and I guess on that screenshot there was some sort of Twitch like handle or something somewhere on the screen. So some guy did like a deep dive into that and found more pictures and more information about the game.
Which it sounds like it's more on the Twitch guy for taking a picture in the first place, not as much
Yeah,
the guy who found out about that,
Well, yeah. So, it was someone from Borderlands or from Gearbox that actually released it or whatever. So this guy just did a deep dive into it. But
Oh, wasn't it like some sort of like fake Twitch account?
yeah,
it was like
a
some really
big,
weird.
long, yeah. So that's what
thing.
happened. And I mean, I guess if that's your, I just don't like leaking at all. I just let the companies do it. As long as they're not doing anything illegal. Or, if you get information finding out that they're trying to scam people or, all right, yeah, but I mean...
You're just like leaking.
You're just leaking like, oh, well, this character is a female or
Yeah.
the last... It's just like, great. Like, I understand.
Same thing happens with movies because people will hack into the movie companies and threaten to release trailers, and then the companies are like, I guess we'll release this trailer now that we didn't want to release early just because someone's like...
Yeah, I always
Yeah.
feel bad like
Trying
the
to
week or
boycott
two
it.
before E3 where everything gets leaked. Like Rage 2 got leaked and just like all these surprises that they think they're holding close to their chest, and then they kind of it takes all the air out of the room when they're in these press conferences because everyone knows what's coming. It's not really
I guess
surprising,
for
but
the most part, Nintendo's, I think, has been the best at guarding that stuff. It didn't happen with the Switch Lite or the Switch Pro, but that was mostly because they were handing out dev kits. They were, giving specs out so people could start making their like
Assumptions.
BS equipment, Nico,
Yeah, oh, God,
with their
yeah.
like off-brand equipment. So I mean, and like they they just kind of blatantly lied about it. They just pretended like, no, nothing's coming out, nothing's happening. But like for games though, Nintendo's like fairly, keeps
they're
everything
fantastic
close to the
Yeah.
is
But
it close,
that's-
close to the vest or close to the chest.
Chest.
Whatever.
Well, I
Under the
guess same
vest. Your vest is on your chest.
Here he goes again. No.
I'm investing in that remark.
No, I think that's the one thing about Nintendo is they still keep you guessing, and I think that's why I'm, like I said, I'm most excited about hearing about that Metroid game that they would re-release.
Yeah, again, like that wasn't like a wide array of sources. That was like one guy. That's why I'm like, I feel like if something like that was really leaked, like more people would have had that.
I mean, I
knowledge or
thought I
something.
saw it. Like it looks like it, or from when you talked about it, I did see articles about it. I mean, again, there wasn't any like proof, but I mean, it would be silly for them not to do it.
Well, I think it's kind of just like the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD. Everyone just kind of
Knows that
assumed it
some
would go on,
point,
but I don't really like anybody who does the leaking of like story content and stuff like that. It's like, I want to find out the right way. I don't want it spoiled for me. You're just kind of just ruining my day.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you plaster it online, and then guess what? Those people are going to
You're
find
just doing it for views and clicks and all that stuff.
that is the most. That's what I hate is clickbait. Like, to find out, who is, how many characters are in this game or how many unlockable people. It's like I want to
Yeah.
figure that out. Or I hate also when they say how many chapters are in a game. It's
And,
like I don't want to know that.
At least for the most part, usually when something's leaked, they won't outright in the article headline say what it is, so I don't have to click on it. I don't have to look on it. But then, that's not always the case,
So what else happened in the news?
Death Stranding is no longer listed as a PS4 exclusive on store PCs across the
Yeah, it's
world.
kind of weird. Like this game that was
And nobody can
basically-
really tell why.
bankrolled by Sony, and all of a sudden they're
It's made on like the Gorilla engine or something.
yeah. I like it. It's confusing. It almost makes you think maybe there's going to be some sort of time like there. Okay, maybe for a year or two it's going to be Death Stranding exclusive.
So, in all of
but
the
why would
articles-
why would Sony give him that sweet deal? If
Yeah.
they're going to bankroll this game.
In all of the articles I read, it didn't mention anything about Xbox. It did mention several times console exclusivity and whether like that's kind of being called into question now. But I think a lot of it has to do about a possible PC port more than anything. But it is weird. I did just assume it was just straight PS4 up until this point. That's what they've been telling us. I mean,
I
either
mean,
way,
it's
coming to-
Kojima. He could be screwing people too.
I mean, either way, it's. Well, I
is
don't
good.
think Kojima went into the this is like the Best Buy in their computer system. It doesn't say exclusive anymore. That has nothing to do with Kojima. That's a company call. Like that has nothing to do with like Kojima playing a joke.
Well,
That's-
yeah, but he could do it on. Maybe he could pull the strings on his end. I mean, he loves to do that type of stuff.
I just don't think this was Kojima in this particular case. I'm pretty sure if like computers across the world all had the exclusivity wiped off of like a listing, usually that's a pretty big deal. That's how a lot of things actually end up getting leaked in the first place. Are people will notice that in their like upcoming releases on their store computers, like it'll say certain things, and that's how like certain amiibos
SKUs
got
and stuff,
like
yeah.
leaked early on and stuff like that, or certain like remakes of certain games and stuff like that.
Speaking of that, I think the new
Guess we'll just have to
the
wait and
amiibos come
see.
out soon. The new wave of the one with Solid Snake and Bulbasaur and Squirtle.
Yeah, I have Squirtle and Link's Awakening link pre-ordered.
Oh yeah, but I think they release actually soon.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I know it's coming to PS4, so I'm fine.
Yeah,
But
it's
it is
kind of interesting.
It's very odd. Like, could you imagine that coming to Xbox, knowing that Sony put in such a big
Yeah,
hand in the budget?
that's weird.
Yeah. So yeah,
we'll
that's
have to
it's
find
very.
out.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Like, what's
Maybe
the
they were-
official listing. I'm betting to guess it's just because they're also getting a PC port.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like maybe in a year or something, there'll be some sort
Yeah,
of port.
because I highly doubt Xbox would be getting a title that Sony had such a huge hand in developing, or spending the money developing.
Maybe they were worried about sales. So maybe like, oh hey, this game's costing more than we thought. So maybe we should open it up later to another market.
He does like to spend money.
I mean, he is spending a ton of money.
Who?
Kojima?
Oh, a lot of this is coming out of his own pocket.
No, not his money, but I'm sure out of Sony's pocket. I mean, and they probably want results. They want to make sure that it sells. So, like, hey, we got, the game is, 2 months away. or 3 months away, whatever it is.
I don't know. I feel like with the PS4 just breaking the 100 million record, that they're not really worried about like how many people are going to buy their exclusive games. Like, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn sold very well, Spider-Man sold very well. This is a Kojima game. I don't think it's Sony saying we were worried about the sales. I highly doubt that.
See, the thing is, I feel like this game isn't really super mainstream. Like, it's weird. It's right up my alley, but
I feel like if anything, Sony would do just a bigger advertising push for it rather than put it on an Xbox.
Oh yeah, but there's no guarantee that it's for an Xbox. The PC people tend to get their port. Red Dead.
Did any of the PS4 other exclusives come to PC? Last of Us,
No Man's Sky.
Was No Man's Sky a PS4 exclusive?
It was, yeah, at one point, and then now it's on Xbox One and PC.
Did Sony develop that though?
They didn't.
I think that was just. I don't think they really.
It was kind of like Insomniac, like they were like working with them, and then
I just think like maybe
they put out the game.
Originally had an exclusivity deal with Kojima, but someone didn't read the fine print.
Maybe. I mean, I think it's good. It's good that. I
mean, I don't like I said, I don't care either way. It's just very interesting if a game ends up on an Xbox that Sony had a hand in, funding, but I guess that money's just going to go back to them if it's bought on Xbox anyway. So what does it matter?
I mean, if this is exclusive, I do feel bad for Xbox One exclusive owners because they have been like destroyed.
Well, maybe Xbox should do better.
They're hoping that's why they bought all those third party people.
So really quick, I don't have too much to say on this, but you brought it up earlier. The new Switch model got dropped yesterday.
I mean, it's just kind of
in stores.
It's just kind of like
Stealth
in
drop.
stores, and it's random.
Surprise!
So
it's not like they're not branding it as a new system either.
No, they're really not. That's why I feel like
Yeah.
this is almost like just a fix. Like, oh, hey, the battery life is just a little bit better, and
Screen's
it's almost like a free.
So you said there was something different with the Joy-Cons? Was there like, did they? Because Joy-Cons are sold separately too. So did they?
Fixed the drift, right?
Yeah,
So
they tried to fix the drift, and they also fixed that. Remember that issue that you had with yours, where like if you like put it behind your back or something, and it wouldn't connect really well. There was like some sort of like pad or something.
Updating the controllers over time has fixed most of that. I do notice that if there's too many Bluetooth devices in the same room, like remember when we were playing Smash Brothers and my controller was not doing what it should have been doing. It didn't matter how far away I was from the Switch. There was just too much like connectivity going on in the same area.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's just not enough to get me to.
No, the only reason was like I said, it was such a good deal at GameStop with the whole like $225 for a Switch to upgrade for $75. I was like, it's not a bad deal.
But now you're like looking for a Switch to trade in to do that.
Well, because I figured, hey, at that point, I give my wife the other one. She'll be able to play whatever, take it with her. Because I can tell that she wouldn't mind playing.
I'm just gonna wait. I know there's gonna be another one coming out.
There will. There'll be a special edition one.
Well, I don't care about that. I want one that is better.
Oh yeah, I want
better. I want better equipment.
I want a pro version or whatever.
Wasting my time trying to like get a new one. I want it to be like better. I don't want a couple hours of better battery life, and I don't think that's going to matter for games like Zelda. Anyways, it's probably going to be even less than that.
Yeah,
like the screen brightness has never been a problem with me. My controllers work just fine. If mine was bent, that would be a little different. If mine was even close to being bent, especially because I have the online service right now with the cloud saving, I would totally do that. Yeah. Trade it in and get the other one, but yeah, I just can't see myself. I know, Matt, you hate redesigns, midway redesigns anyway, so you would.
I bought my Switch. It's gonna be mine till they have a new Switch, Switch 2. That can't play Switch 2 games on my Switch. That'll be when I buy a new one.
Oh wow!
I really want to see this Switch Mini, like how it works with certain games. Like, oh, this one doesn't work. It's gonna be like, just remember that PlayStation Vita and Vita TV, like. All the games did not work on the damn Vita TV.
I'm assuming they're telling developers you have to find a way to make it work on both, like come up with a contingency plan. So I haven't heard anything about that. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised.
Like, what about Breath of the Wild? You won't be able to do the gyro thing, right?
Yeah, you just take it doesn't have any motion controls in it at all. I mean. You probably just use the joystick.
All right.
I mean, that game was pretty. That game didn't have a lot of motion controls in it. Anyways, like that one's probably pretty easy.
Well, that one. I mean, but that is like their
Like,
heavy
you can't-
hitter.
You can't play Mario Party,
Yeah,
supposedly.
that's
Like I don't know.
I don't know how that works.
I think it's just for the Pokemon people, to be honest.
Yep.
Moving on to our discussion topic of the day, brought to you by Dan Party,
Hello.
who may have changed the topic for today like 2 or 3 times.
I did.
You asked us what our favorite type of game is.
Game
favorite
type, genre,
game type,
yeah.
genre, whatever.
Yeah. So, Mr. Andy, you're first up
Why?
because I'm very
I am the
interested.
proprietor of this podcast. I chooses who goes first, and it's going to be me. But because I said so, not because you said so.
Okay.
So
And there's a groan in the audience.
Matt's always groaning at the things I do. It doesn't matter. So here's the interesting thing. I found out that genre and subgenre goes into some weird subcategories that I wasn't even aware of. Like horror isn't like a straight up genre. Like horror's like more or less a subgenre. Like you have an action horror or an RPG horror or something like that. Like I guess I was just looking on the wiki, just regular Wikipedia, not like video game wiki or whatever other wikis are out there. And I pretty much already knew going into this what my favorite genre was, but I think I have trouble telling what games are a part of the genre. So my favorite genre would be action adventure, which according to Wikipedia already involves puzzle solving, but I especially like action adventures with puzzles. So that would, Zelda.
Puzzles are awesome.
And puzzles are great. Like I love puzzle games on their own too, like things like Picross and stuff. Like I'm not talking about like Bejeweled or anything like that. Those aren't real.
That's not
Witness.
a puzzle game.
Witness. Oh my God, Witness. Oh, that hit just that right nugget.
I still haven't played that one yet. That's the one with the big. Oh no, that's Firewatch, right?
I don't know. You haven't.
You
said
haven't said a
anything.
thing, but we don't understand.
You
what
just
you're
moved
thinking.
your arm slightly and went. That's Firewatch, right?
No, sorry. Yeah, that was me trying to think out
So
loud.
the
but
Witness is
failed
the one where
miserably.
there's all those environmental puzzles and you're
And you're
trying
on
to
an island.
move a line around. And Firewatch
Oh.
is you're this guy and something creepy is going on in the wilderness of like Washington or maybe
Yeah,
Canada
some
or something like
place.
that.
So maybe Firewatch is the one I'm thinking of.
The Witness is
shaded.
well, they both are.
Oh, they
both
both
have
are,
similar
which
color
is-
palettes too.
Oh, goddamn.
The Witness is a must play. It was free a few years ago on PS Plus, and it was free a couple months ago on PS Plus. So if you missed it, I'm sorry, but it's a really good game. One of the best puzzle games I've ever played. But going back to like the action adventure, like I was thinking of a bunch of games because like obviously I can say Zelda, like no duh. Like I love the Zelda games. They combine puzzles and the action adventure. But like, what defines an action adventure game as opposed to just a straight action game or a straight adventure game? I think straight adventure games are considered things like text adventures and like nothing that really requires any like action at all. And like action games pretty much have no story. So something like maybe Gauntlet or something like that would be a straight up action game. Maybe,
Really? No story in Gauntlet?
Like
Know that?
it's really just maybe Gauntlet's not the one I'm thinking of, but
Gauntlet
like
Legends and that whole series.
just like a straight up action game with like absolutely nothing to it. So combining the two basically takes like a story and action game and combine it together into like one entity. Because then I'm like, well, what's Fallout 4? Fallout 4 is considered an action RPG,
Yeah.
not action adventure, even though it has all the elements. I guess it doesn't have puzzles. Maybe that's the difference.
Yeah, not really.
It has like a little few things, nothing.
Well,
like,
follow the Liberty Bell, or not the Liberty Bell, the, what's that
Freedom
line?
Trail.
Freedom Trail. There we go. I'm doing well. Liberty Bell, Freedom Trail. We're
Liberty
close.
Bell.
Wrong state.
Going
So,
anywhere.
and the reason that action adventure is my favorite genre is because I always felt like it was the most, I guess, I don't know if complete game is the right word. Like it's when I say action adventure, I'm specifically talking about non-linear. So like God of War had puzzles and action and story, but it was mostly a linear pathway for most of the game. And it was also just a hack and slash game. Like button mashing and actually timing attacks are two different things. I like games that you have to like time the attacks and you have to hit it on the right mark. Like,
You have to time that new one.
I'm talking about the originals for the PS2.
Oh, that was, hack and slash.
Sorry, I guess I forgot about the new one.
Yeah.
Like God of War 2 for the PS2 is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So like yeah, and my least favorite genre of games, I'm pretty sure we might all have the same answer for this, would probably be either racing or sports games. If I know that's kind of a cop-out answer because most hardcore gamers would probably list one of those
I don't
two.
like
Fighters.
I don't
yeah.
like sports games.
I don't
but
like
do
fighters
I don't
either.
like fighters either.
I do like racing games, but I feel like there just hasn't been a good racing game this generation. Like the Need for Speed games were like the Need for Speed Most Wanted were really fun.
Forza?
I don't like Forza. Like I loved the first few Gran Turismo games, even like kind of almost anything like that. But
Have you played the Gran Turismo, the VR one? I've heard good things about that one. I just never played it.
Gran Turismo, isn't that more about... Isn't
Realism.
that kind of like Forza where it's
Ridge
like...
Racer,
Yeah, it's
those are fun.
Yeah, Ridge Racer is a little more arcadey, but like Gran Turismo and Forza are
Yeah.
more about like realistic. Like those are like the
Like you have to shift. I
car
remember.
nuts.
Yeah,
are,
I
like,
remember.
really into those games.
I remember. Yeah, playing that, and I was like, "Why am I only going 50?" And then it was like, "Oh, you need to shift."
Another thing about the action adventure games that got me though was just like I felt like I was in the game going on a quest and it's like really doing everything as opposed to
I really love those games too. And I feel like whenever I'm playing a game like Tomb Raider or something in that vein, like my favorite part is probably when there's puzzles, but I don't want them to be everywhere. I want them to be like this fun little side thing that I find that like, I gotta rest from this fighting and I have to figure out this complex puzzle and maybe I'll get a better weapon or something out of like something that's maybe a little better than I'm supposed to have at this point. Those are kind of my favorite action-y adventure parts.
I think that's why Zelda speaks so much to me is because it's the perfect combination of that where like most of the time, like half the time you are just adventuring around. But, then as soon as you get into a dungeon or a shrine or something like that, you are solving puzzles. You're not really doing that as much in the overworld. And then, Zelda didn't necessarily always have with all of their games like a very deep story. You solve the dungeon, save the princess, beat bad guy at the end. That was basically every Zelda game. Like it wasn't anything like, Horizon or anything like that. But Horizon's another game. It's on my list of games I need to play. I've been wanting to play that before anybody else even knew about it, and I still haven't played it yet.
You were talking to me about that. I was like,
so that's probably going to be one of the next games I play. It's right up there on the top of my list.
great protagonist as well. Aloy.
What about you, Matt? What are your favorite game genres?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been playing my video games like most of you guys listening, and I'm sure the two people at this table most of my life. So I kind of like almost all genres. Like you said, there's a couple that I don't love. Like I don't love sports games. I don't love puzzle games that are just purely puzzle games. Like I don't like to buy those kind of games often.
Except for Picross.
Picross is great because it's like this $8 game where. And I mean, I do love The Witness, so maybe that's not entirely true, but...
I don't want to pay $60 for a puzzle game.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
put it that
Like,
way.
I can't play it for a long time. Like, it's just... I feel like those games are good in spurts, but I do love puzzles in games. But if I was going to say what my favorite genre is, I think it would be RPG, like just straight-up role-playing games. And that extends to action RPGs and JRPGs and just kind of everything in the genre itself. Which is kind of something that, if you had asked 7-year-old me or 10-year-old me if I would like RPGs, I would be like, those are dumb. Those are for like weirdos and stuff. But just ever since I started playing like Final Fantasy VII, and I got hooked on all those amazing PlayStation 1 games, and I've actually been going down this whole. Obviously, I've been playing Legend of Dragoon right now. I played Rogue Galaxy recently, which was an old action RPG. I actually just bought. Legend of Legaia, which is a PS1 RPG that I've always kind of wanted to play. I had a demo disc and I played the demo disc 20 times. So I'm like, I want to finally try this game. And then there's some other games that I'm actually looking forward to trying, like Chrono Cross. I've never played. Tales of Symphonia. There's like a few older kind of RPGs, JRPGs that I've been trying to find just because I want to play them again. Because I feel like there's so many I've missed out on. I feel like the new RPGs I don't feel are as how do I say this right? The worlds don't feel as big. Like ever since even Final Fantasy X, they started to feel like more linear practices. And then the games that I think people think of as RPGs today, like Witcher 3 or even Fallout, they're just a little bit too much. I don't know. They don't feel like a role like the. It's hard for me to say because I'm listening to other people in my mind hear me say that these games don't have great stories and then just lambasting me because everyone thinks these games have great stories, but there's just something about them that just doesn't grab me the way some of the older ones do. So I guess if I had to say, I would say RPGs and then maybe like the PS1 PS2 era. If I was going to say that would be kind of the golden age of a game that you can play, you can beat, you can check off all the boxes and then just be done with it.
That was the golden age of JRPGs specifically.
Yeah.
I think like JRPGs. Like I guess the only one in recent memory that was any good was Octopath Traveler to me.
Yeah, there really hasn't been anything in that sort of old school style vein.
That's why I go back and play
quite
Final
some
Fantasy
time.
VII.
Yeah, me too.
You know?
I'm playing all these old games that I haven't played before.
JRPG.
Like I like turn-based and I like strategizing.
Game. That's all it stands for, or is that a certain style of RPG? As
So
well?
JRPG is like it is kind of a category on its own. Like any turn-based RPG from the 90s that was made in Japan was a JRPG.
It's kind of hard to explain. It's one of those things. It's almost like you would know it when you see it, but it's hard to explain what the difference between that and RPG is.
Exclusively plays though, like all of the Tales of games. Those are all JRPGs. Crap, she would yell at me right now for forgetting the game that she's been talking about over and over again for the past 3 months.
Shame.
But yeah, she exclusively pretty much plays JRPGs, except she's playing Spider-Man right now. I guess that's not a JRPG.
Like, for some reason, I always thought JRPGs were like almost like Final Fantasy Tactics. They were more like on a board. And
No,
it was more. So I thought of that.
So, like
and I thought
pretty
of
much anything in the Final Fantasy series is a JRPG.
Oh, okay. And then I thought of like Disgaea, I think
Yep,
it's called.
that would be a Disgaea is more of a less of an RPG and more of a tactical game.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I thought JRPG meant that
Fire
type.
Emblem, Disgaea, and Final Fantasy Tactics would probably be like just. I don't know if there's such thing as Japanese tactics game, but they're like tactics games, you know?
Yeah, they're more like on a board and you have to like move around. And hit.
Turn-based strategy.
Yeah, but I for some reason JRPG in my head always meant it's more of like a board game rather than like Catherine. I guess was like another like JRPG that I heard of. It's like kind of like
was Catherine made in Japan?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, for some reason I
think I could be wrong.
For some reason I always just had that in my mind. Just assumed it was an American game for some reason. No, that was definitely a JRPG. Now that I think of it.
Yeah. So like that one I didn't
or like
see.
Secret of Mana. That's a JRPG.
Yeah, but just for some reason like Catherine doesn't hit me as like that. I always just saw it as something that's more or less a tactical board game that you're moving around.
It's pretty much any RPG made in Japan that doesn't. Like, if you think about Fallout's an action RPG because you're not... there's certain tropes in a JRPG that you look for. It's very anime influenced usually. It's usually turn-based.
Yeah, it's usually like a squad of like 6 or 7 people or whatever going on an adventure to save the world. It's usually kind of the same
trope,
10 scenarios.
Yeah, but man, were they good in the 90s and early 2000s.
Oh, absolutely. That's how I got sparked. That's what sparked my interest in
So what's your favorite? Is it horror? Or spooky games?
No, it's. I mean, the more. I mean, I like my horror games. Those are obviously one of my favorite. Like, I guess you should call it like subgenres. I didn't even. When I was thinking, I was just thinking like, open world or linear, or I was thinking that, and obviously,
I guess that would be less of a genre and more of just a type.
Yeah, well, that's why I say get like type or genre. But I'm just trying to think of like my ideal game, and that's why when Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain was announced, I thought that was everything that I wanted in a game. It was open world, it was sneaky, it had a crazy story as part of it. You could loot the crap out of everything. You had your own. I love games that you can build your own like hub or base. One of the reasons why I'm really now excited for Borderlands 3 is now that spaceship, you have a whole room that's devoted to you. Like, trophies I've earned, guns I've collected that I want to like hang up. And
so that's how behind on the Borderlands 3 news I am and how unplugged I am from
that either.
Social media. I didn't know about that at all.
I hope that's not. Oh, right. You said you didn't care about. Well, it's nothing to do with the story, but it's more like you're more like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone could explain to me the entirety of Borderlands 3, and I probably would forget.
Oh, but it basically is like planet hopping, which I thought was really cool. You go on the ship and then you hop around different things. But I just the more I've been playing games, is more like a part of games that I really love and I want more. But like Ghost Recon Wildlands, I absolutely love the gunplay and the sneaking around and just the massive open world. But then I couldn't stand the characters in that game, who were absolutely irritating, and then the story was very generic.
Well, taking specifics out of each game, what would you say overall is the genre you probably gravitate the most towards? I feel like stealth games are usually the ones you gravitate towards.
Open world immediately. Open world is the first thing that gets me. Like, as long as it's an open world that you can
Non-linear.
explore. Yeah, non-linear. Just I love that idea of exploring and
Me
just
too.
finding things on my own. And just finding like, oh, I didn't know there's a cave back here. Like, oh, I'm going to go here and check it out. And that was one of the reasons that Skyrim was so magical to me when I first played it, is you walk out like past that first town and just realize, oh my God, I can go anywhere I want. Yeah, you might get your ass kicked, but I can go anywhere I want. And you see a dragon over there. You see, a crazy like moss looking place over there. You can go anywhere you want at any time that you want. You're not connected to anything. You're not like, oh, you have to go this way or you have to go this way because this is blocked.
That's why Breath of the Wild I thought was so neat, because it was the first Zelda game in a long time where you did really have that freedom.
And going back to the only minor gripe I had with that game is just the dungeons felt.
Yeah. We've talked enough about that.
But that's why going back, and when you told me to play Wind Waker, it recaptured a lot of my adventure part of it, and especially it's really neat with the water part of it, like going around. It's like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna find, and
you can go anywhere you want in that game.
That's what and I thought that was neat. It was really one of those first Zeldas that was just like, go, A lot of the other games, they kind of have like block paths. They'll let you give a sense that you can go one way.
Wind Waker, it's more of just like there's certain islands you can't really go onto depending on what items you do or don't have.
Yeah, but that's I really got that when I got the boat and he was just like, let's go, and I was like, holy crap.
So would you think so do you feel like open world in general?
Open world is, like I said, immediately grabs me. It can be anything from like Just Cause, that's like a generic, open world, to, like I said, this new game Greedfall, that's made by a company called like Spiders Interactive. They're not very popular, but just the world itself just looks engrossing.
They're not really popular. They just haven't made a lot of games.
Like, God, I can't think of the last game that they made. It was kind of, they're not very well known. It's pretty clunky. I remember you guys talking last episode about Focus Interactive, and you were like, oh, because that was the game that
they made Divinity.
They made Divinity.
No,
they made Plague Tale: Innocence.
All right, so that's the developer,
yes,
and they're under the producer who produced Divinity now. Divinity, the remastered, as well as Divinity 2. But yeah, they made a lot of like weird like games that no one's really ever heard of, but movie tie-ins. They were making movie and TV tie-ins for a long time.
Yeah, and they were also the developer for Vampire, is how I know them. But yeah, this company isn't really known for making a lot of really popular games. They made like Technomancer, which
that sounds familiar.
It kind of looks it's kind of a linear like combat, but unfortunately the game and the lack of probably funds didn't make it that great of a game. It was pretty repetitive.
So going kind of looping this back to your whole genre discussion. So
just
basically non-linear is what you look for in a game. Like that would be your, not really a genre, but I guess type of game.
I mean, open world I would say open world counts.
Yeah, so just anything just open like world, whether it's stealth, whether it's horror.
If you had to pick a subtype,
that's really tough.
Tactical, maybe. Well, because I know you like to.
Because there's games that have that, and then they don't kind of mesh together. Like I played Evil Within 2, which tried to open up the game. They, instead of making it a linear, more like Resident Evil 2 style, where what do they call it? Back tracing, or what do they call it when you like keep going through like the same hallways and stuff to unlock certain things. Backtracking. That's what it's called. Sorry, I couldn't think of the actual term.
Thank God you remembered. I had no idea where you were going with that.
Sorry, backtracking. So like Resident Evil is a big backtracking game where you're staying in the same area, but you're trying to find and unlock doors to open up more of the world. So that's why games like Greedfall, that even though it's a small company, I'm still excited for their open world. And, No Man's Sky, except unfortunately No Man's Sky originally started out like, oh, kind of a bummer. And I've had kind of a wall that I hit with that game. But I really, like, every time they just announced more free DLC for it.
Yeah, there's like another like expansion or something coming out.
I want to push myself and go through
play it in VR now
and play it. And yeah, is it? I don't know when the update hit. I thought it was soon, but I just feel like that's a game that screams explore. But I want, just like Matt, I know he talks about games that have like a purpose. I need that purpose, or else I kind of lose.
I tried to play No Man's Sky, but I just couldn't get into it because it was like I feel like there was nothing to beat. There was no goal.
Yeah,
there's too much just exploring, which is fun. But
that's why this one I think has started to add more goals to it. But so going back to your question with stealth or horror, I guess I would lean a little bit more towards the stealth. But it's 1A 1B. So because I just
that's like me, like action adventure I can say are my number one, but like any straight action, like Doom is just a straight action game. That's fun. Like it's not like I dislike those genres.
So good.
Just like I feel like action adventure usually has like just at least a little bit of meat from the genres that I love the most all put together.
Yeah.
That's what I like the most about it.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, there was one other thing for Dan that we had to bring up. So Matt and I were at a soiree last weekend for my birthday, and we were with a listener of the podcast who brought up that you mentioned a game that no matter how many people he's talked to, no one ever really knows about or brings up, and you're the only one who's ever brought it up. And it's your favorite Diamond in the Rough game that nobody knows about. From the NES.
That Nintendo one, that
Little Nemo Dream Master.
Yeah.
Yes.
He loves that game, and he wanted me to let you know that. So,
that is awesome. I actually
Bobby from Ludlow.
I actually got a lot of excitement from hearing that someone else loves that game.
No, he was really excited. He randomly remembered. He's like, "Oh yeah. One of you was talking about like the Diamond in the Rough game, and it was Little Nemo, and I loved that game growing up." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was like one of Dan's favorite games. He's the only one I've ever heard talk about it." Though.
Oh yeah, there was just one of those games that I linked to, and
you were so surprised when you're like, oh, I got this Diamond in the Rough game. I'm like, is it Little Nemo? I remember you were so surprised. It's just because you've talked about it so many times.
It's funny because I didn't even think I mentioned it that much.
Yeah.
But no, that's that. I'm glad that that he, I found someone else that really, really enjoyed that game.
Yeah,
especially as a kid. The soundtrack on that game is absolutely fantastic. And for him, if he goes on YouTube, someone did an orchestra, like a live orchestra, and they did the first like 5 or 6 levels with a live orchestra, and it was fantastic.
That sounds good. I love it when they take video game music and put it to a live orchestra.
Yes.
That's always a good time.
So,
but with that, this is the Trophy Hunter, who's on his phone and not paying attention to me or the podcast.
I moved on.
The Collector, and the Bargain Bin Gamer, logging off.